Executive Director at Ayurveda for Healing. And she's also a professor at Vayu and Program Director at Ananda Academy, Ayurveda Academy. And we are very excited to learn from her. We loved her last session. And if you have missed it, do view it on our YouTube channel or in our Arva app. Also, if you need information regarding that, you can always reach out to us at programs@arvayoga.org. So without further delay, let's get started. Let's welcome Dr. Ashlesha Raut. The stage is all yours, Dr. Raut. Thank you.
Thank you, Shraddha. And welcome everyone. Again, namaste from Chicago. And I'm, let's get started. I just wanted to recap, and again, this is even if it is a series of lectures. If someone has, as Shraddha mentioned, if someone has missed, you can still check it out on the Arava website and you will get the whole presentation. The more important thing is what I just wanted to share is these each and every lectures are independent. Even if you have missed earlier, you're not really missing anything because you can always catch up that later. And so you can pretty much start from any point of time because we have organized the series in that sense. So, coming to today's topic, understanding the mind. And, let me give you just quick recap that what is Ayurveda, because before I say an Ayurvedic perspective, I must talk about what is Ayurveda. So, Ayurveda is a ancient medical science and which is really developed during the Vedic period of India. And now, well, the amazing part is that it is still alive, not only in India, but all across the globe. It is being practiced. And there are schools, so my point is it's not just practice people who are coming from India and practicing in all over the world, but there are schools, universities all over the world now where people are learning Ayurveda, getting graduated, becoming practitioner, and then practicing Ayurveda. So that's being said. We saw in last session all about Ayurveda, its history, its origin, its basic concept, why these basic concept, what are the fundamental rules, how Ayurveda is completely different, or what are those uniqueness of Ayurveda, and how the whole Ayurveda treatment works. That's all what we saw. And now our time is to jump on and understanding mind. And it is extremely and crucial why I'm suddenly going on mind, right? Like did we really talk about body yet properly? And are we just jumping on mind? And that could be the question. But I want to, start with this point that if you could see this, the body and mind, correct? We cannot show mind, but you definitely would agree with me that body and mind are totally intertwined. I cannot show you where exactly is my mind is. Whether it is here, or maybe it is even below somewhere in heart. We cannot show that because it is completely intertwined. And it's impossible, according to Ayurveda, just to show that, oh, this is body and this is mind. Because in each and every cell, even mind resides. And that's the another basic concept. So without really understanding mind, bodily health cannot be achieved. And if we say that the main core principle or main core focus of Ayurveda is, and I'll use the verse from Charaka Samhita, which says, Swasthasya swasthya rakshanam, aturasya vikara prashamanam cha. So the swasthasya swasthya, which means the one who is already healthy, to preserve his health, is the first primary intention of Ayurveda. Of course, if you are sick, Atura means disease, the person who is suffering from, or a patient. And Aturasya Vikara Prashamanam means the patient's what he is suffering from, that can definitely be taken care. But the main goal or main fundamental focus is on the keeping the healthy person and maintaining his health. And in that respect, if we really want to achieve the health, it is absolutely necessary to understand mind from the Ayurvedic perspective. And in that sense, I'm saying Ayurveda believes the another one of the fundamental principle of Ayurveda is to show is to believe, first of all, understand the integrity or the intertwinedness of body and mind. And you could see this picture where seriously people generally even say mind show brain, but in reality is it only brain? And according to Ayurveda, it is in actually practically in every cell of life. You could have seen this multiple times, that when we get nervous or when we get you know maybe tense, and some people I mean, maybe you have experienced then when we used to go to school and give the exam, and sometimes suddenly feeling of that butterflies in the stomach. What was that? That was actually mind. Did it happen into your brain? No. So would you say that mind is also in the stomach? Well, it is the experience what we get, at what level the experience we will get. That level, at that part, the mind will show up in the bodily part and show you the whole experience. And what happens is, it is that experience is perceived on your body. And that's how, again, body and mind are intertwined. And it is absolutely crucial to understand if we want to achieve the health. The mind's perspective is necessary to be understood. So I'm coming directly to the classification of diseases in Ayurveda, and there is a reason why I'm coming directly to the diseases, because to understand sometime health, disease understanding is very, very important. One of the definition of health is also said as absence of disease. And so if that is one of the definitions, then it is true that let's understand then what is the disease and how the disease is been classified in Ayurveda. So you would see that disease in generally, and again, this is not just in Ayurveda, everywhere, this is how the disease is absolutely classified. So we divide disease, okay, where the disease comes from. So we say, okay, the disease comes, maybe some external things happens, and that's how the disease occur. Or maybe certain you can think about, like, okay, let's say some physical injury, and you were walking and suddenly fell down, or somebody hit and with an accident, and then fracture happen, or maybe hairline fracture happen, or whatever it is. But there you see that there is a straightforward external cause. We are seeing that in the part of California, there is a mudslide happening. And then because of that, people are suffering. Yes, that over showering and catastrophic situations are due to external cause. And there, those diseases would be considered as external diseases, or the disease due to external cause diseases. So, as opposed of that, there are certain internal causes where you don't get anything from outside, and that could be an autoimmune disorder, or even some kind of a cardiovascular disorder, or you could say even stroke, or even simple fever. Some people believe that yes, fever is due to some kind of infection. Yeah, then in that sense, fever will go for the external cause. But sometimes fever is absolutely due to certain internal disorders, and that's how fever could be like internal disorders, in the sense some autoimmune disorders would have fever as one of the symptoms. So rheumatic fever is completely can be considered, or you could be suffering something. Why do you have to suffer? I mean, in some cases people get under the stress and then also they get the fever. So if fever is because of typhoid, then we say yes, the reason is typhoid, and those are the external germs which entered the body and had the fever. But otherwise, somebody is under huge stress can actually develop the fever. People, get stress of giving exam and then have fever. So the point is, those are the internal causes. But even if all these things are true, I would like to quote here Acharya Charaka's actual another verse, which says that there are three main causes of all diseases. All diseases would happen just because of three main causes, and three main cause, one of that three main causes is actually what we call it as a pradnya paradha. The meaning of pradnya paradha, the definition is pradnya paradha trogaha, which means pradnya means wisdom. Pradnya means you know naturally. Sometimes, you would not know how that is, but your each and every cell is born with some kind of intelligence. And so that intelligence is being given to you. And I'm talking about that intelligence. And that intelligence, when tells you, guides you, show you direction, sometimes just because of some mental greed or foolish mental act, you suppress that and then take the action. And exactly the action which you take without listening to your intelligence, without listening to your body's wisdom, when you do that, that is called pradnya paradha. Pradnya, again, wisdom. Aparadha, which means crime. So when you do the crime, that crime which is against your wisdom, that is called pradnya paradha. And the funny part is, body suffers. Mind does the work, but body suffers. I can give you an example, and a very simple example. Just think about this. That maybe you and some friends are celebrating. Maybe that friend's birthday is being celebrated. You really went to a great, an ambient restaurant, had ate everything, whatever possible. Of course, your friend was giving you treat, so you ate, and now you're full. I think you really ate well. And then the waiter come for the next order and ask you, any dessert? And you look at your, keep your hand on your tummy and say, no, I'm full. I don't want anything. And then the waiter says that, you have actually exceeded the limit, some whatever that target was, and you're under that bill is so much that now you actually get the free. The dessert is free. That much you have already spent. And if you could, cross that limit, then we offer you free dessert. Now you suddenly start thinking that, oh, maybe I have some space for that chocolate ice cream, or maybe I have this space for brownie or whatever, gulab jamun, whatever that dessert is. And here, when you were saying, I'm full, that was your body's reaction saying, your body's wisdom was telling you that, oh, I'm full. I don't have to eat now. But the moment you got that, then something I'm getting free or something is allowed, and then that greed or that uncontrol of mind made you order the dessert. And this is a very simplest, very, very simplest aspect of understanding that how the crime against wisdom happens, which we call it as a pradnya paradhatrogaha, means if you do the crime against wisdom, then that becomes one of the main causes of the any diseases. It actually applies to really, really many and multiple things. There are two more disease causes also been applied, but here this one is particularly with relation with the mind. I can, I'm sure you have seen this and you could really understand this, that there are actually some diseases which are related to mind. And let me give you some few examples and then we'll go further. So think about this. When you were or somebody really gets upset, immediately the blood pressure rises. Why? The upsetness happens at the mind level. The emotion of upset or emotion of anger comes, but the blood pressure rises of your body. Sometimes people get so nervous and so fearful or so anxiety that their hand and feet starts becoming cold. Correct? You might have seen that. Or people say, oh, I have a cold sweat. What does that mean? Body perspire and makes you further cold. Why? Because mind experienced that emotion. It also happens many times that you are somehow some at some level were not satisfied and you break out at skin level. Again, mind, emotion, and result is on body. So to understand this sincerely, I must quote here that most diseases have psychological cause. What Acharya Charaka said, and that's what I showed you in previous slide. And actually, if you would see this way, that all lasting diseases also have the psychological effect. Think about this. Some person was walking around and then the whole tree maybe fell down or something and he had a fracture. Now he had a hip fracture, so he's laying on his bed. The 3 months of laying on his bed, what do you think? His mind will be happy? Impossible. Correct? So the more and more he's lying down there, the actual his mind is getting deteriorated there, and the health, if not maintained properly, really gets deteriorated. In fact, it has been observed that in old age, when you get one person gets the osteoporotic signs happens, and because of that fracture happens, more than 50%, at least in women, they die not just because of osteoporotic fracture, but because for fracture happens, they lay down into the bed, and then the whole zest of living life kind of starts deteriorating. And that is exactly what I was talking about, that the lasting diseases have psychological effect. And already I told you that how the psychological effect causes the disease. As I said, blood pressure rises, your anger having tendency make you increase the blood pressure, or sometime even the stroke, right? The hemorrhagic stroke, which is the blood pressure shoots up, and because of that, the whole stroke comes. Here again, the psychological cause was the reason for ultimately the stroke, the disease which appeared. So these are just some examples, but I want to show you now that how this disease or the emotion are actually correlated with the disease. We never think, or we just experience that emotion a multiple time, or maybe chronically we start experiencing those emotions, and then you ultimately end up in creating a disease. So let's understand that link between disease and emotion. It is practically may not be possible for me to show each and every example, but take a look. If a person is too much egoistic, you will see that person will suffer from, most of the time suffers from joint pain. And of course, if you would say, oh, somebody is old and now started developing arthritis, and then is that the cause of the egoisticness? Well, not necessary. Arthritis can happen because of physical reason, because of old age. But if that any kind of other joint pain or arthritic joint pain precipitated way early, and if there are no apparent reason for the that person is not really doing something too different, that the suddenly the joint pain started, then it could be egoistic pain which has precipitated in the joint pain. The dishonesty could be the throat disease. And again, not that every thyroid condition is because of dishonesty, but dishonesty is not necessary to be somebody with else. It could be with yourself. You can be dishonest with yourself. And so don't take it that if you are suffering from some kind of disease, that means you are purposely behaving wrongly. It is sometime beyond a mind's control also. These are the emotions. And there is a reason why these emotions show up, or there is a cause and effect, that how body try to give you signal that why these diseases are been showing up. I just want to share one you know story with you. I mean, it's a case which I have seen. And it was here a very simple looking case. A person with a age of his in mid like 50s or mid 40s, late 40s and like early 50s, unfortunately developed some pancreatic problems. And these pancreatic problems were actually, when you would go back, develop some, uh, liver problems. And these liver problems, in general, typically you would think, okay, you had this issue because of maybe he's drinking, or maybe typically liver problems come from that issues. But it was not really the liver problem issue because of his drinking or anything. It was actually that he used to really get upset with his kids, and he had a really high profile job. And this high profile job comes from in like makes it very he used to really suffer in his office. And that ultimately creating and suffering from that a lot, without actually really drinking alcohol or smoking anything, he actually precipitated that liver disease. The another very commonest example which I can tell you, the pancreatic problem which I was talking about, was basically, you would see that nowadays the diabetes is one of the pancreatic problem issue. And the type 2 diabetes has been really on the, like, as a epidemic it is coming. And you would see that most of the time, really at every level, people are suffering, and that those worries are really creating a problem. The heart diseases are also becoming very common. They are, of course, absolutely common. And that is that patience which we are losing now. We have now using our iPhones and downloading, the internet speeds have to be downloaded. Everything has to be happening fast. And the very next moment, we want that to be shown up on our screen, or whichever that it is. Maybe it is mobile, or maybe it is your iPad. And that kind of tendency become that, okay, I cannot wait. If it is, even the TV channels, right? Like, you if you see the advertise is going on, you immediately change the channel. Why? And there is that impulsiveness, or there is that impatience somewhere coming. And then the heart diseases are all-time high nowadays. So these different emotions actually somewhere precipitate on your body. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, that understanding mind, for at least this reason, that it is directly affecting your body. And if we are talking about the just disease free body, then this mind is very, very important. Of course, the definition of swasthya is beyond just the body's health. And we know all that, that we need the mind also to be healthy. But even if one aspect, I mean, amongst these all, this is one of the aspects which I wanted to just bring in front of you. So, how and why we should take action? And here is, I wanted to, show it another, that many time it happens that what you are seeing is, look at this monitor and computer monitor, and this is a printer. You can see this. So literally something on the computer we can type, and you can take the printout, and then exactly For instance, just understand this monitor as or the software is your mind, and if something comes on the mind, unfortunately, this body printer can be act as a body, and you literally take a printout of that. This has been very commonly seen in the skin disorders also, that person something going on in his mind, and the the printout means his face, you could see whether the, as I said, simplest thing is acne or many other skin diseases, eczema flares up or the psoriasis flares up, and one thought can actually create the itching aspect to the high level. I just gave you one example, but here are those many other examples which actually shows that this is a software which is your mind, and your body act as a printer. So no doubt that we really have to take care of mind to achieve the health. And how do we keep this healthy mind? What should be our focus of keeping the mind healthy? That's perspective we are going to see now. So let's understand the Ayurvedic approach for that healthy mind. In general, always whenever we talk about the Ayurvedic approach, I would always give the three major tripod. I can say the health. Ayurveda achieves the health on the tripod of three things, and one is diet or the food, or the in Sanskrit we call it as ahara, and then the second one is the lifestyle or the vihara, the way you live your life, how you behave, how you think, everything would consider into the lifestyle aspect. And then the third comes the medicine or aushadhi or what the herbs which you need to take. So always the approach of achieving, whether it is a bodily health, whether it is a mind health, whether it is a whole altogether health, these are the three things. So let's start with first the nourishment, the food aspect, correct? So food, you would say, but oh, we don't see the mind. How can we feed the mind? Correct. Well, in that respect, mind is again intertwined with body. And that's the reason whatever body physically eats actually been converted to the mind. So Acharya Charaka says that the one of the byproduct of digestion actually goes to mind. So it is been given to mind, and in that sense the nourishment of that healthy body happens. I mean, healthy body and healthy mind happens. Now this nourishment actually happens again at two levels. The very first level is absolutely gross level, that means the food which you eat. And I want to give you an example here. Okay, think about that, you went uh, for a party again, and then you really had eaten the heavy food. What do you think? What will happen? Do you think your mind will be alert a lot and you will be precisely be doing your whole work? Or what do you think that your mind will be feeling? You will be dozing actually. If it is a morning time and you ate too much at the lunch time because it was a party or whatever it is, and now you are like feeling, when do I go home and get a nap? Or even if you are at home, or if you are doing the on the call, or nowadays many people work from home, and that's what I'm saying, that okay, even if you're at home and you're working and you're just like waiting, let me take a nap, isn't it? Doesn't that happen? So that gross physical food absolutely create the nourishment of mind, means the way you eat definitely works on mind. And this is true for not just the heavy food. Think about when you have too much light food, the same thing happens. You cannot, if too much light food you eat and then you feel lightheaded, you're not really able to focus, you're not sometime able to even concentrate. So both the way, whatever way you eat, your eating has to be balanced if you want to feed your mind. And even if you don't want to feed it, it will happen. So the end product is somehow going to the mind, and that's the reason you definitely want to keep your mind very active, obviously, all the time. And that's why you have to eat in the balanced state, and not too much heavy and not too much light. And so what that food would be, definitely we will be seeing that. But before that, I just want to quickly tell you that, remember, nourishment doesn't happen only at the gross physical level. Food in Ayurveda has a very different perspective. Food is not just what you eat by mouth. Of course, that is also food, but there is something more that we must understand. And that second food, which I'm talking about, is all about your subtle experiences. It is all about your external impressions which goes to your mind, which you without knowing keep on digesting. And if you have the good digestive power at mental level, then it is good. But if you do not have that good digestive fire at the mental level, then actually it is possible to create even the psychological disease. So these subtle impressions and experiences, which we just overlook, we just don't understand, and that is truly important to be focused on. Let's first see the gross food aspect, that what could be the really balanced food for the anyone. And then the really it comes as the sattvic diet. According to Ayurveda, all the universe is can be divided into three mahagunas. The gunas means qualities. There are three qualities which actually takes in consideration every aspect of this life. And these three gunas could, if you are familiar with it, it is called sattva, raja, and tama. We can go on sattva, raja, tama little later, and if you have question, I can absolutely answer at the end. But the sattvic food is very, very important for mind. In fact, one of the synonym of mind is sattva. So mind is originally sattvic, and you have to keep that as sattvic. And so you could say, okay, what is the meaning of sattvic food? Then, well, I would like to just give you a quick understanding of sattva guna. Sattva guna means the potential energy. The one which gives you potential energy always, all the time, that is sattvic food. And again, the simplest example, one of the simplest example could be vegetarian food, where the meat aspect or the killed animal is not being used for eating. And to some extent, someone can argue that that is our staple food, and that's fine. You can eat that, but in absolutely little moderation, completely in less, and not as the major content. It should not be. So it's not that whole all the food you could eat only this, but at least majority of your diet should be from the plants. And the plant protein activity has been going on. You may be aware of this. Now, why do we want to eat from the plant? Or what is the, again, sattvic food? The another example of sattvic food is the pure food. And how do we understand the pure food? Pure food, which is consists of prana. Prana is a life force. And this pure food most of the time comes from the plant. And that's why, again, the vegetarian diet or plant-based diet is really recommended. The another aspect of the prana can be there in the food, or in other sense, that okay, when the prana really vanishes, then when you cook the food and keep it in the fridge for more than 24 hours, actually you lose the prana. Or you pick up the food and absolutely it is good, but then you canned it and you put it in a can, right? And then you keep that there for 6 months or maybe 1 year or maybe even 2 years, and then open it and eat it, then you lose the prana. And with this, sometime eating like that is still okay, correct? But if you start doing that every time, then you're actually eating a food which is devoid of prana, and that actually really can be dangerous to your mind. So the food should be actually further eaten in the warm stage. That does not mean that, oh, don't eat ice cream at all. Well, you can eat ice cream, but not as a main meal. That could be kept as a treat. When you eat, when you're really hungry, you have to have the food which is absolutely freshly cooked, balanced in that sense, completely natural, not overly processed, and absolutely easy to digest, and which can create the calmness into the mind. And it should be refreshing as well. So, another aspect is we needed to add here is that nowadays a lot of, I mean, not this has been going on for the pretty good time, that now we are getting actually more aware of the organic food, and organic food can be also one of the matter of the sattvic diet. So just to give you an example of like how one should eat, maybe having the whole grain, something like legumes or the plant, vegetables, freshly cooked vegetables, or even the meat, or the even the milk, or the nuts or seeds, or ghee on a very good one, fresh food, fruits. These could be absolutely considered the sattvic food. Now there are some fruits which are actually to some extent sometimes can become rajasic. For example, the unripe mango could be a little bit rajasic, but that's okay. That's okay in the sense that you are not eating as a full-fledged food. Correct. So, in general, all these natural food sources, which you get it from the nature, can be considered sattvic food. Then we go on to this next aspect, which I was talking that about the influence, the subtle nourishment. And this definitely creates the influence. Do I have to take the question now, or is it okay if I take the question at the end?
You can take the question. Then there's a question from Uma, so I just wanted to ask if we can ask it.
Yeah, maybe we'll take it later
Sure.
because let me just finish and then I will take the questions. I'll keep the
Sure.
time for questions for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, so the influence which I was talking about, because this is also many times people just focus on food, but there are so many other influences which we absolutely ignore, and that is actually crucial to understand. And one of the very much important is how the food is grown, prepared, and cooked. The grown part, maybe I have explained that, okay, eat organic, but preparation part is very, very important. So, who cooks the food is very, very important. You might be remembering your mom cooked the food, and always you think, oh, my mom's hands are like, she's the best. Why? Was she was really the real cook, or what was that? She had that secret ingredient of love, and that was really making the food really good. There was a study done, and it came as a as a actually as a what you call there was a one restaurant where the complaints kept on coming in the restaurant, that people started bad mouthing that the food when I ate there I had a problem. And so the FDA or the regulatory authorities actually saw that why this food is really creating trouble for the people. They investigated, they found nothing. All the regulatory affairs which were necessary, that was very well maintained by the restaurant. And then they further digged in and what is the problem, and then they realized the further research showed that only particular time when the one particular cook cooks the food there, whenever he's in that shift and he cooks the food, some people actually have the problem. And then it ultimately came out that that cook was really mentally sick, or he was under tremendous stress, and with all his anger he used to cook the food, and some sensitive people would suffer from that. Sounds not true, but unfortunately that is the reality. In fact, the group of people around you when you are eating the food actually matters. No matter how much good food is being kept in front of you, and if the whole room is tense, you know, no, you're not really achieving the food. You might have heard that story that a farmer was there and he had one sheep and he had one, he a tiger and sheep was kept in the same room, of course, in different places, and they had their own cages, but that sheep or that lamb never could really gain weight because she used to always see the tiger in front of her. So, how can she really work on and developing the body when a person is always in the stress level? At the same time, also, what is the state of your mind when you are eating food? Maybe the atmosphere is good, maybe people are not there, maybe you're alone and you're eating food, but if your state of the mind is not good, then no matter how much fresh food, how much sattvic food, how much vegetarian food, how much all sort of organic food being kept on your plate, you're not really digesting the food well, and that can be absolutely influencing factor for your body. And this is many times we just ignore this aspect, and that's the reason it is very, very crucial that we just don't look at the food as a gross material, but we must consider the food and the digestion with all these aspects. I want to, tell you one another very, very, what would you call, researched topic. A huge lot of research have been done on this, and a Japanese scientist had done this research. And what he did was really mind blowing because he actually proved that how the subtle impressions can actually change even the food. So I was in the previous slide, I was telling you, well, how it reacts on your body. But in reality, even the food changes. And this is very, very crucial. And it has been done on the water. So what he did, he had the crystal photography. And what he did, he took the polluted water and he made it, took the photographs of that polluted water, and that would look like this. And then what he did, he prayed that water. He kept that everything and he just prayed a lot. And after praying that water, look how the water changed. This is a real evidence I'm showing you that when and how you talk with yourself, maybe you're talking with yourself, or maybe you're saying to your, in the anger, you're saying to your food that, oh, I don't like, or many times kids do that. And what happens, the food even changes. And forget about food changing, you have to understand your body eats 70% of water. When you say something to your body, even the water inside your body can also change. I can give you another example. He took the water and kept it and constantly, said that water that you make me sick. And then he had this picture and he kept same water in another glass and kept on saying that thank you very much, and look. So this actually shows that how our subtlest reactions and emotions and verbal affirmations or negativity actually can affect our body, because our body is also made up of five great elements. So it's not water only outside we are talking about. We are also should consider the body as a water itself, and then see how the impressions we are creating. So talking about, this was about the food, but the lifestyle and exercise we generally would recommend, and everybody knows this, so I'm not going to go into the further detail, but doing the yoga or doing the pranayam and even doing the meditation or dhyana is crucial for your health and for your mind more than just the body. And people so much worry about the exercise as a body, but do you really know it affects your mind positively much more than it affects your body? All these aspects are actually should be done actually for your mind. So lifestyle and diet, we talked about. Let's talk about medicine. And whenever I'm talking about medicine, it automatically people show, even if the Google images would start showing the tablets or the injections or such kind of thing. And I'm not really going to talk about those consumable aspects. So there are always, medicines are of two types: something which you consume, you eat, and you digest, right? And then you create. And something is non-consumable, but you still use it. So the consumable aspects are herbs. In Ayurveda, we call it as a herbs. And there are multiple herbs. It is beyond the scope of this presentation, so I'm not going to go into those details of the herbs. But yes, there are multiple herbs which can effectively keep your mind sound. Maybe as a result, you can get a good sleep, or as a result, your endorphins are good. Your serotonin level is good, means you are very happy, you can be more energetic, and you can be more enthusiastic, and you sleep well, and you get fresh in the morning. But we will not talk about those herbs details. I want to still talk about the non-consumable treatment. And Ayurveda gives actually certain simple treatment which are not exactly the in comes under the consumable aspect, but they are still applied, and those are could be oil massages or simple any Ayurvedic massages. The picture which I'm showing you here is not about the massage, but it is about the Shirodhara, and I thought this is a real right time, because in the for the treatment perspective, we really still give this aspect of Shirodhara is very, very important. This is a very unique process. And this process is really, it's a type of treatment, and it's very unique because it actually can take you into the delta stage of your mind. The treatment is designed that way, that if it is very, very difficult for you to sit and meditate, this is a wonderful way. Of course, you have to be relaxed to take the treatment. Sometimes, mind gets further agitated, but to relax that mind, to feel calm, to feel the higher level of increase of your consciousness. This is a really good treatment aspect of Ayurvedic non-fermentation approach. There is also another one is what we call it as a aromatherapy. Again, a huge research have been done here, and you could see that the more and more neurological research and the brain research shows that there are, your memory center into brain are very close to your aroma center, actually, where you identify the smells and you identify the memories are actually very close, and that's why it kind of interacts with your mind very positively. You could just think about that when you go for a function and some nice aroma is there, it stays with you and you feel elevated. Or when why do you even put the candles sometime, right, into the kitchen and all, then which creates a nice aroma and you feel much elevated. And so the aromatherapy can be very practically used, not just the and the treatment aspect also is been very well established, and it is possible. Now another, this is more than this, what I want to take you is the sensory modalities. I told you, food is not just what you eat by your mouth. Food is by each and every senses. Its food could be different. For eyes, a beautiful picture can be a food. For ears, beautiful music can be a food. For nose, wonderful aroma can be a food. And that's how the sensory modalities it's been worked out in Ayurveda. And literally, there are multiple. The mantra therapy, it's not just the listening, but it is actually entering into the mind. The definition of mantra is manana jayati iti mantra. The one which can take you to the deeper level of mind. That is called the mantra. Then there is a color therapy. Beautiful colors, each and every color has its own qualities. And that's how the color therapy is being used. Then gem therapy, it's not just for the ornaments, they have their medicinal properties. Ayurveda defines each and every gem's medicinal property, actual how it works into the body, on the body. and how we should use it. And also the music therapy, the different kind of a classical music ragas, which we call it as ragas, the classical music, Indian classical musics are known as ragas. And each raga will have their its own own effect. I use in my practice a lot of musical therapy in the cases of actually pregnancy. So when I do we have a program called Suprajanana, which means developing a radiant child, which actually starts even before the conception. And so the whole 9 month, there are certain specific aspect are expected to be performed with the pregnant lady. So before the conception it starts, and we work from there. And again, during the pregnancy also, there are certain treatment modalities in offer, and there I many times use the music therapy, and it really works even for increasing the fetal weight. LBW means low birth weight is a very common problem, unfortunately, even in the nicely, affluent people also. It is seen that low birth weight could be there, and there would be many reasons. Again, I don't want to get digress, but simple musical therapy, or even if you have no problem and still applying these musical therapy, can do actually wonders. So even if I all told you about the diet and the lifestyle, and even these non-pharmacological approaches, or the medicine, whatever you call it as, because these are the aspect of medicine, that's how we use in Ayurveda. There is one more very important point, and I cannot really stop without talking about that, and that is that stress management. If all things have been done, and if you don't manage your stress, there is no point. And there would be many different aspects of managing stress. And again, some type of aromatherapy and music therapy can also be helpful, or mantra therapy can also be helpful for managing stress. But the real game, or the real aspect, or the main core thing which Ayurveda says is to truly understand. Your true awareness is the ultimate cure for all psychological disorders, and also for the managing all kinds of mental stress. Because the when you have that true awareness that I'm not only my body, and I'm not only my mind, and further beyond that energy, or that soul, if that awareness really awakens, which I would expect you to awaken, then the managing stress is the true answer to it. With that, thank you so much. And I think I'll take the questions. We have time, right?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we have questions from Uma.
Yes.
So the first question is, what about the frozen vegetables? She says that, what about the prana in freshly frozen vegetables in grocery stores? Can we use frozen vegetables?
So very good question, and thank you for asking this question, because this is a very common question. I always get this question. And to be very honest, is what I'm saying, that frozen, even if we say frozen, it is not still hibernated. It is still frozen, in the sense it is not still fresh. Though they are picked up during the fresh time, when you freeze it and you keep it, you still lose a lot of prana. They are not, that is not dead food like a meat, definitely not. They can still be in a range of a good thing, but it is still not always to be recommended. So if you have a habit of eating always frozen food, I would not recommend that. That could not be a good idea.
Could I ask a follow-up question? Thanks
Yes,
for
please.
answering that. So then, like, I see why not frozen vegetables, but then how about, like, we grocery shop once a week and we keep things in the refrigerator? So then is that considered
So
not the
at least once a week, right? You do shopping, correct? Like, I
Yeah.
mean to say that at least in a week's time you're going to use that, correct? So
Yes.
again, we cannot achieve everything ideal. but that is bare minimum. And rather than just, again, certain things you would not get at all fresh. And then you have to use those frozen. Then that is okay. But that should not be your daily basis. Like maybe once a week or 2 times a week or 3 times a month, if you're using that, then it is okay. But don't use it all the time, always.
Sure. Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question she had was, what is the delta stage of the mind? Can you please explain?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the delta stage, again, neuroscience has developed, and what they have found out in search of mind, they always search mind into try to understand mind through the brain aspect. So if you would see, there is a machine developed which is very common. I mean, you must be aware of this, and which is called as EEG, which is the electroencephalogram. And what it does, that it is, like how heart EKG or the ECG you have heard about, it is put it on heart, and then you see the waves, and the same way it is been put onto your head, and into your understand your brain. And the every thought which comes in can shown by the wave. And these waves, the frequency of these waves actually creates the 4 stages. And the very first stage is beta state, and then comes the alpha, and then comes the theta, and then comes the delta. So these are the 4 stages, and the last one is delta, where your mind waves are really, really seldom. And that's what we generally expect, that in ideally you're expected to go into that delta state when you sit for the meditation. Not that everybody goes, and it's okay. Again, it's not a hard and fast rule. Everybody should go in their own pace. But that is how it has been understood, that true meditators would actually reach to that delta state, where the mind is, a very few thoughts are there into the mind. So the more and more thoughts are gone, what we understand, that becomes the delta state. And more higher the thoughts is the beta state. And generally, typically, it is been considered that 12 to 30 hertz are the delta, the beta state. And then if you're under stress, too much stress, then it could be even reach, higher than that. 30, 40 hertz can happen. So which is a very, again, bad situation. And that's the chronic stress we call, that your mind is constantly going on and just can't stop, and that can create another major aspect on your body. So that is the delta state. I hope I explained.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So is it like the healthy mind has no thoughts?
No, 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 no. I did not say that.
Okay.
That is not the thoughts are necessary. Thoughts absolutely are necessary. But what I'm saying, that in some period of time, you should have that no thought situation also should come. And that's why we recommend you to do the meditation as a part of Ayurveda recommends meditation as the lifestyle. Like, right, like, how you do every day. If you say, okay, you have to eat at least 3 times a day, or you have to brush your teeth 2 times a day. Well, that's how you're saying at least do meditation 1 time a day.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have one more question. Is low birth weight associated with poor future health?
Well, okay, I see this question here. Yeah, and this is not related to Ayurveda. It is still related, so I would not say it is not related. Basically, the low birth weight of baby is not necessarily linked to the future health, but at the same time, it is always better to have a nice balanced weight. Again, overweight is also not good. According to Ayurveda, always the balance is more important. If it is too much, then also it is problem. But if it is too low, then also it is problem, because the tendency to fall sick and something to happen, and then all these other things are to be developed, that could be low. That can be the kids or the infants can be, neonates can be low on that also. So it's, in that sense, it is a future it could be the poor future health. It's not necessary future health, but the risk factors are more. You got it? And that's why it is always better to have a good balanced weight. And again, this is about the fetal weight I'm talking about. Yeah. And that is, unfortunately, people used to say, oh, that pregnant lady, the poor countries, they don't have food, and that's why the baby's infants' weight are low. But unfortunately, that is still a problem, even in United States, where eating is not necessarily a problem, you know.
I think there's one more question. I think we'll take this last question, and if anybody else has more questions, they can always email us at programs@arvayoga.org, and we can forward them to Dr. Ashlesha or get them answered next time. So the question right now is it okay to have raw food like salad, smoothies, onion, garlic, and tomatoes? How about dairy products?
It is absolutely fine to have the raw foods. In fact, to some extent, few amount of raw food should be there in every meal. I mean, not every meal, but at least once a meal, at least you should have some aspect of. So if you're talking about the salads, absolutely true. But the only objection is if you say, okay, that's my lunch, that whole salad on the plate, that's my lunch, then that may not be correct. That may not be necessarily good. You're making smoothies, fine, but don't replace those smoothies, and just have the only vegetables into the smoothies and the raw vegetables, and replacing your meal by just drinking the smoothies, which is very common nowadays. People do that, and for certain period of time you would do that. That is okay, but that should not be your lifestyle. That's what I would say. And dairy products, if you're able to digest, dairy products are good. Dairy products are not bad. Remember, I mean, this is unfortunate that the dairy industry is had created this problem. Not like really the dairy products are bad. Cow milk is considered one of the best milk amongst the all animals, actually. You know, and but there are so many other aspects to how the milk, the industry now creates the milk, or the how, I mean, again, that is out of scope of the thing here, so I would not want to talk on that. But milk is not bad, and milk products are also not bad, as long as you're able to digest them. It's good. And choose the right milk. We can talk about that sometime. Again, A2 milk is considered good, organic, not just organic, but grass fed cows, and then its milk, and which has the A2 protein, those that is considered a good milk. And then again, ghee is one of the best thing, according to Ayurveda. Ghee, that is clarified butter, and I'm sure almost you must be aware of ghee. So ghee has the beautiful. I mean, in Ayurveda, there are many verses written in the praising the ghee, and it is also considered as the one of the essential part of your diet. One should have at least 1 to 2 teaspoons of ghee every day, in any whichever form. And all it is across all the I mean, all the three types: vata, pitta, kapha. We believe so much in last thing I showed you, the body type aspect. For all the body type aspect, that is still good.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raut. This was fantastic.
I was just wondering if I can ask one more question.
I think with respect to time, is this Santosh?
Yes.
Santosh, hi. So I think we've already gone past 5 minutes, and I understand that I'm sure everybody will have many questions. How about we take your question on programs@arvayoga.org and bring it next time? Would that work?
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Vai.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. Once again, big thank you, Dr. Raut. Shraddha, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Raut.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.
See you next time.